everyone. Thought it was time just to to share a lesson here from the academy here in Orlando. It's a lesson that I'd recently given. Open to looking forward to hearing people's thoughts. Yeah, and those thoughts can be good or bad, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to learn and put ourselves in front of our other coaches to get feedback and continue to learn. So yeah, like recently had a young student from China, uh, not his Chinese name, but he calls himself Wilson. Wilson had been having some lessons with David Norquay in China before David moved on now to being the director of instruction at one of the academies in Indonesia. So obviously David has been doing great work. Wilson's only 8 years old, plays once a week. So even a number of the coaches who walked by said how good fundamentals for being a young kid, and even in watching him hit these first few 8 irons, he's sending it out there at 120, 130 as an 8-year-old. So honestly, it was looking good. It was quite impressive. I think the first learning here is always how it's important to watch, because especially kids, they don't ask too many questions at the start of the lesson. At least most of the ones I teach don't. It's important to see them hitting lots of different shots. Watch them hit some chips, mid irons, long irons, and even a few drivers. And yeah, while Wilson was looking good with his 8-iron, ball was flying pretty well. We can all see it's coming down a tad steep, a tad over the top. But with an 8-iron, it was flying well. When he got to his driver, the look of it changed, and yeah, he got a lot more curvature. One longer club, obviously, the ball is in the air for longer, so it's moving more. But even his swing became a little bit more laid off. It became a bit more aggressive with his upper body in the transition. Got the club, I think it was -4 or 5 with an 8-iron, while with a driver he was up there at -10. So quite different with the driver. And even you can see probably in the ball flying off in the blue sky how there's a lot more curve on the flight with his driver. So what did we look at with Wilson? And hopefully everybody agree the goal is to keep it simple with the younger ones, not try to prove our knowledge. We're trying to get them moving a little better, trying to get the club in a better delivery position so they can see the ball flying differently and improving, giving them more motivation to come back and try again and practice. So with Wilson, we kept it to this point in his analysis, and it was this really one, particularly when we got the driver out. But one, as you can see, he would get a little bit lifty and a bit laid off with the club. So really focusing on trying to, for him, feel like he was getting his right shoulder behind his head in the backswing. That was his feel. But then more importantly, in the transition, this clearly a big focus of ours was, we can see how much of a lean it is with the upper body, left side, left shoulder head leading in the downswing. So with that, very difficult not to have the arms coming down outside and getting the path to the left with quite a steep impact, right, for a younger guy. This is tough Bermuda grass, and with that he was still taking quite big divots. Now, excuse me, it's more how about you go changing these things, and I think some of these rules can apply to the golfers of all level and ages, but I took the strategy more of giving Wilson some constraints and some movements and feelings rather than trying to overly explain what he was doing and what he should do. So number one was just the basic movement of right shoulder behind his head, and then learning to feel like he led the downswing a little bit more with the lower body. Yeah, tossing some balls, just get an overall feel for the motion. That lesson one, along with we set up some constraints. We had a noodle on the outside of the club. We put even it was kind of out of hitting distance, we put a cone in front of the club as he was hitting down -4, -5 with his driver. So really we were just to try to encourage him, give him a feeling of the club traveling down a bit more inside, traveling a little more up through impact, and you combine that with the overall motion of the body. We started to see some yeah, nice changes. Not quite as dominant with the upper body. Club still a little minus, but less curvature in the ball. Not quite where we wanted, but as a lesson one in that sort of 40-45 minute window, not bad. When we continued on with Wilson, it was again just kind of same theme, putting some constraints for him. So we had a stick here for him to feel like he kept the club underneath the stick in the downswing. We put another pole up the left hand side of the body. We call this the wall of fire, just to keep it fun and entertaining. And his goal was to feel like he moved his lower body past that, kept his upper body behind it, to allow the club to come down inside, not hitting this. So yeah, I mean, Dilly, backs off it a bit more than what you expect in the follow through, not trying to hit the stick, but it started to give him the feel of the transition, and I think the early signs of the downswing was starting to come a bit more online. Ball flight was neutralizing, still small pools, but yeah, overall shape was improving. And yeah, the last really was taking this feeling indoors, but simply putting another constraint in place for Wilson to feel, don't hit it. So here, again, goal is right shoulder behind his head. That's his sort of know-how. Right shoulder behind his head. Downswing and lead a little bit with the lower body, trying to feel like he keeps his right shoulder behind the head, missing the barrier we put in place. So yeah, overall, while you can point out a few things, maybe with this drill, this is sometimes the side effect of getting the club a bit inside in the move away. Overall, you can start to see the ball coming off the club face. He's got a shallower contact, so less steep, less across it. So he's starting to feel the club face ball coming off the club face a little faster, seeing it starting online, less curvature. But more importantly, when he does this with a driver, there's 20-30 yards in it for him, which is what excites the younger ones and makes them want to come back and try more and listen more and keeps them in the game. So nothing too technical, everyone. Just sharing. I say we had 3 sessions together with Wilson so far. Just wanted to share that. Love to hear your thoughts. What you would have done. Any questions you have. But yeah, the goal is to change the movement of the club through impact to get the ball to moving differently. Sometimes we lose sight of that. And we got sort of 8 out of 10 in that with Wilson in our lessons so far. I think we can take the next step the next time we see him. But yeah, good start, and looking forward to hearing everybody's thoughts.